Today it is my pleasure to speak with you regarding GMROI, or Gross Margin Return on Inventory. Here at Ashley Furniture, we have practiced GMROI for decades, and as a result, we have reaped the benefits of measuring and monitoring every practice that goes into the manufacturing and distribution of our furniture. Ashley Furniture Industries was founded on this practice, and this process has worked both in the good and the bad times alike. We believe that you will find this information helpful in analyzing and improving your net profitability. So what exactly is GMROI? GMROI stands for Gross Margin Return on Inventory. GMROI is a quick and easy way to measure how much cash a business is producing and how well it is using its investment in inventory. GMROI is a key retail performance indicator. If you, the retailer, understand and practice the concept of GMROI, you have the ability to make more money. GMROI is a shorthand way of dealing with a simple and very basic business problem. If you spend $1 for merchandise to sell in your store, how much money do you need to get back if you wish to remain a viable business? So how can you create greater GMROI? Well, there's two ways. Number one, you increase your gross margin, which will increase your GMROI. Or number two, you can increase your turn rate, which will also increase your GMROI. Increasing your turns is the component that can be most easily managed, thus creating a very realistic goal to increase your profitability. So let's take a look at these two distinct ways of increasing your GMROI. First, let's talk about increasing your gross margin. What is gross margin? Gross margin, also called gross profit, is the difference between sales and your cost of goods sold. It is the difference between the retail selling price and the wholesale cost of the goods sold before expenses. It is expressed in dollar amounts and also a percentage of sales. So let's take this example. You have a retail sale price of $1,000. Your cost to purchase the item is $540. We add in the freight, figuring 12%. That's $65 added to the $540. Then we apply any discounts if applicable. So the delivered cost of the purchase is $578. So how do we figure our gross margin percentage? We take the retail sales dollars, the cost of deliveries, and any discounts applicable, and you divide it by the retail sales that you want to achieve. You multiply that times 100, and that's your gross margin percent. In this case, $1,000 minus $578 divided by $1,000 times 100 equals your gross margin percentage, 42.2%. As you can see by the note below, the 5-year industry average for gross margin is 43.68%, according to the NHFA. Increasing your gross margin is going to increase your GMROI. One way to do this is to charge higher prices to the consumer, which is not likely going to happen. Why? Because the consumers are demanding more value for less. Consumers want more quality, more choice, consistency, convenience, and service, all for less money, less time, and effort. The second way to maximize your GMROI is by increasing the turn rate. Turns may be the most important profit driver of all. Inventory should be viewed as an investment. Inventory that merely sits or moves slowly produces a negative return on investment. High turns are the way to make money on your investment in inventory. Let's take a quick second and listen to one retailer talk about how he managed his GMROI on one particular sofa.
In December, our invoices came in and were due in January for $1,800 on those 6 sofas. That was the cost. We sold 242 times for $128,098.36. $1,800 investment turned into $128,000.
Let's analyze a few of the key elements that influence or determine your turn rate efficiencies. First, a store's inventory is usually the retailer's single largest investment and represents capital that is tied up. Maintaining an inventory of any size costs additional money. A retailer pays carrying costs. These are allocated shares of rent, insurance, utilities, and other overhead expenses. The retailer pays the cost of frozen money as well, which is interest that could be drawing from a bank had some of the tied up capital been invested in an interest-bearing account. Finally, the retailer incurs the opportunity cost of not having funds available for the purchase of other, perhaps more readily saleable goods. These hidden costs are excellent reasons for a retailer to keep his stock tight or lean. Incidentally, higher turns are linked to increased productivity in all aspects of the business, including the warehouse, salespeople, and advertising. Although gross margins traditionally have been viewed as more important, turns are the real key to producing bottom line profit. In most retail stores, the inventory never sells out completely. Additional merchandise must constantly be ordered and put into stock. The store, therefore, must determine how much stock is on hand during an average period of time or quickly figure out how to sell off the parts. Take a minute to imagine if you took all the inventory space and turned it into a retail floor selling space. More on this in a minute. Knowing this, the rate of stock turnover can be defined as the number of times the average amount of stock is sold during a given period of time. In other words, it means the number of times the inventory is theoretically sold out and replaced. The turnover rate can be calculated for a week, a month, a year, or any other period of time desired. So how do you calculate turnover? The rate of stock turnover can be calculated in three ways: turnover at cost, turnover at retail, and turnover in units. Average inventory refers to the average stock available for sale during the period in question, generally 1 year. It's calculated by totaling the number of inventory counts made during the period and averaging them. For example, suppose a store started the year with a beginning inventory of $100,000 and ended the year with $150,000 worth of goods. Adding the two figures above, $100,000 plus the $150,000, you get $250,000. And dividing them by 2 would give you an average stock on hand of $125,000. The figure that results from dividing the average inventory into your cost of goods sold shows how well you are managing your inventory. The higher the number, the more times your inventory has turned. In all three instances, we derive the figure for average inventory by averaging the inventory listings by dollar valuation or by unit count. For example, if a physical inventory were taken on 1/1 and then again on 12/31, there would be 2 listings. In this case, the value of both, or their total number of units, would be added together and then divided by 2 to obtain the average inventory. However, a more useful method is to use inventory figures as shown by the records at the end of each month. The 12 monthly figures plus the ending inventory for the last month in the previous year are added, and the resulting sum is divided by 13. This method is more accurate because the monthly fluctuations in inventory are taken into account due to seasonal selling periods. So what are the key influencers for increasing your turn rates? Step 1, you need to eliminate waste. If it doesn't add value, eliminate it. First, you need to reduce non-value added costs. Unnecessary costs abound in the furniture business. They are associated with carrying too much or the wrong inventory. Is your floor properly balanced with the right product? This is a key element, for consumers are fickle and change frequently with the newest styles and trends. Are you buying yesterday's styles for today's consumers? Let's take a quick look at the potential downside of inventorying various bedroom groups. Does every consumer purchase 2 nightstands with a bedroom group, or 1? The mirror with the chest, or just the chest? Or the footboard with the headboard? The obvious next question is, what do you do with the parts? The parts that are left over. We all know the answer. People don't like parts. That is a cost. So here are a few quick summary points. You need to identify your winners and your key items. You need to avoid duplicating items, balance your floor, price merchandise to encourage customers to buy, and have merchandise available from reliable vendors to appease the consumer's wants and needs. Another point is the excessive handling of goods. Are you cross-docking or moving the product several times, increasing the potential for damaged goods? Every time you handle the product, you incur costs and risk of creating damage or defective merchandise. Another point, poor customer service. Remember, the consumer is king. On average, it costs between $50 to $90 just to get a consumer to walk into your store. If they have a pleasant experience, they come back, sometimes, and hopefully over and over. This experience will be shared with friends and others. Essentially, you get an endorsement and have begun a grassroots branding effort for your store. If not, your chances on getting them back are not very good, and the negative residuals shared with others could cause people not to shop at your store. You need to manage the front end with technology. Many inefficiencies can be attributed to the underutilization of technology. We live in the era of technology and instant knowledge accessibility and gratification. As Abraham Lincoln once said, "Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle." If you are not current with technology and the efficiencies it brings to managing your supply chain and your business, you are adding unnecessary costs to your GMROI. Another point, you need to eliminate fringe vendors and steer business to vendors with shorter manufacturing cycles and efficient deliveries. Buy more frequently from your key suppliers who deliver quickly and efficiently, and order smaller quantities to reduce warehouse costs and practice cross-docking of the merchandise. You need to monitor discontinued and slow-selling styles. Plan to get rid of them. Aggressively pursue solutions for inventory that is damaged, waiting for parts, or obsolete. The only way to eliminate non-value-added costs is to measure and examine all of your processes and determine their costs. Then determine the value derived from each and go after everything that doesn't pass the test. Step 2. Define, create, and leverage your brand. Companies with strong brand names can command a premium. Your advertising and marketing campaigns essentially create a promise that consumers expect to be fulfilled through the action you want, going to your store. In doing this, remember, your advertising promise should have a couple of key goals. Be unique and do something you and your kids are proud of. Know who you're marketing to. 83% of all household decisions are controlled by or influenced by women. Have your brand be more like candy and less like medicine. People always like candy, but if you keep taking medicine, you develop resistance and continually have to take more until you find out it doesn't work anymore. Increase your promotional efforts. Promotion as an industry is growing faster than any other marketing medium. And then train, train, train. Better selling techniques create better results. Remember, the number one turnoff to women are pushy and arrogant salespeople who infringe on her space. Brands provide a critical head start in establishing relationships with potential new customers, and they help increase the confidence of existing customers. Analyze your market and create a fully integrated promotional plan that ensures you reach your customer at all touch points. With today's media options, 300 plus cable channels, the internet, direct mail, newspapers, radio, and more, do not rely on just one medium to reach your audience. To emphasize the importance of this, I'd like to read you a quick document that I received from an unknown author. Why is it a person wakes up after sleeping under an advertised blanket, on an advertised mattress, pulls off their advertised pajamas, bathes with an advertised shower, shaves with an advertised razor, brushes their teeth with advertised toothpaste, washes with advertised soap, puts on advertised clothes, drinks a cup of advertised coffee, drives to work in an advertised car, and then refuses to advertise, believing it doesn't pay? Later, if customers do not come to their store and business is poor, they decide to advertise a liquidation sale. Why is it? Step 3, be customer-centric. Profitability depends on consistently giving customers what they want, rather than merely focusing on making the next sale. Remember, you have advertised your brand and created a promise to the consumer. You must fulfill the promise upon the store visit, or the investment was all for naught. Satisfying the customer leads to profitable relationships and the retention of those customers rather than a constant and expensive search for a new business. Do you know what it costs to acquire a new customer for your store? You should, and it should be constantly measured against your advertising and marketing mediums. Consumers are a moving target, and you need to know where to reach them. What worked 3 to 6 months ago may need a tune-up. Keep abreast of new and different ways to influence consumer purchase decisions. Okay, we've discussed at some length the key elements of gross margin versus turns, which raises the question, which is more important, the gross margin percentage or stock turns? We have 3 items, item A, B, and C. The gross margin percentage for item A is 50%. The gross margin for item B is 40%. The gross margin for item C is 30%. Item A looks more profitable, is it? Well, let's take a minute and analyze stock turns only. Item A, the one with 50% margin, only had 2 turns. Item B, at the 40% margin, had 6 turns. Item C, 7. So if you just looked at this alone, item C looks more profitable. But is it? Looks are deceiving. Can you figure out which is the most profitable? Not unless you analyze the whole picture. GMROI shows the whole picture. Item A, with a gross margin percentage of 50%, had 2 turns. Its GMROI, $2. Item B, at a 40% gross margin, had 6 turns, with a GMROI of $4. Item C, 30% gross margin, had 7 turns. Its GMROI was $3. In actuality, item B earns the most gross margin per dollars invested. Now let's look at a more in-depth view. Here we have 2 chairs, chair A and chair B. We've given them the same selling price, the same cost, the same gross margin percentage, the same sales per month. But here's where some things change. The reorder lead time. Notice on chair A it's 14 days, on chair B it's 120 days. The average inventory, on chair A, they only kept 50 chairs in stock because of the 14-day delivery. On chair B, they had 400 chairs because they needed a 120-day delivery. The gross margin dollars per share, the same. The times 100 chairs per month, the same. During the 12-month period, the same. The inventory, the average inventory times cost, $5,000 for chair A, $40,000 for chair B. So your GMROI on chair A is $24. On chair B, it's $3. Which chair do you want to be working with? So what does that mean to your pre-tax earnings? The average inventory for chair B was $40,000. The average inventory for chair A was $5,000. Your inventory reduction was $35,000. Your inventory carrying cost, figuring 3% a month, 36%. Your inventory carrying cost in real dollars, $12,600. You had a savings of $12,600. You had sales of $240,000 in pre-tax profit. Figure the industry average of pre-tax is 3%. The added pre-tax 5%, creating 8%, and your improvement to the bottom line, 166%. Okay, I know it's math, but Ashley has tried to simplify this process with a retail profit tool, which allows you to quickly and efficiently calculate your GMROI. The tool allows you to calculate your GMROI 5 different ways: stock turnover, overall sales, by vendor, by product line, and by SKU. So how do you use this retail profit tool? With each profit tool comes a step-by-step, easy-to-use chart that shows you how to go about the process. Your marketing specialist will be giving this to you at the end of this presentation. GMROI is a key retail performance indicator. If you, the retailer, understand the concept of GMROI and react accordingly, you have the ability to make more money. GMROI stands for gross margin return on inventory. GMROI is a quick and easy way to measure how much cash a business is producing and how well it is using its investment in inventory. And GMROI is a shorthand way of dealing with a simple and very basic business problem. If you spend $1 for merchandise to sell in your store, how much money do you need to get back if you wish to remain a viable business? Gross margin percentage tells you how much you make on each sale, not how many sales you made, and not how much inventory it takes to support your sales. Stock turns tell you how many times per year you turn your inventory, but not how much you make on it. The Retail Profit Tool can help you with these calculations. Ask your marketing specialist for the Retail Profit Tool. Also available from your marketing specialist is the analytical presentation of GMROI in a PowerPoint presentation. Also, your marketing specialist has a GMROI Excel spreadsheet analyzer, which you can just plug in the numbers and it will automatically do the calculations for you. So Ashley has developed several tools for your use.